I believe this video is by Noah Samsen, and Noah Samsen basically made a Gila Klein hit piece. Gila Klein's the wife of Ethan Klein and is the co-host of the H3 podcast. And yeah, let's just check it out, okay? Yeah, this looks wild. All right, it's 25 minutes. All right, it's 25 minutes, and and this one is called "How to Girl Boss a Genocide." All right. So yeah, let's take a look.
Guys, okay, listen. The H3 podcast, they're up to no good once again. They're doing more of that stuff that we've seen.
Oh, and Noah Samsen is basically Hassan Orbiter, okay?
Gila Klein, co-host of the H3 podcast, wife to friend of the show, Ethan Klein.
It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you.
She's posted on Instagram stories praising the IDF. Yep. Gila Klein, to her 775,000 followers, reposted an image from an Israeli propaganda account that shows a female Israeli Air Force pilot. Gila adds the caption, "Female pilot who participated in the attack in Iran. Israeli women are heroes." This post is for a variety of reasons.
Let me be totally honest, okay? Gila Klein probably did this on purpose to bait reaction videos like this, okay? And Noah Samsen has just fallen for it. All right. I'm not saying Noah Samsen is doing anything legally wrong. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, this is a defamation bait trap again, right? Or a copyright trap or something. I'm just saying like she probably did it on purpose because she knew that it would piss off people like Noah Samsen. So honestly, I mean the bait kind of worked, right? Like she's rage baiting. She's like as Winter says, okay? She's rage baiting, okay? Anyway, Gila already apologized for the post. Really? Oh, she really shouldn't have done that, dude. She really shouldn't have done that. Mm-mm. Can you link me her apology, please? Thank you.
Absolutely batshit insane. Israel, as many of you surely know, is committing a genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza. There's no real debate on what's happening there. It's a genocide. The United Nations, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Israeli human rights groups like B'Tselem, 15 out of 17 of the judges at the International Court of Justice, they ruled that Israel is committing a plausible case of genocide. That was over a year and a half ago, and Israel...
Wait, what the fuck was that photo? Was he jacking off? Can this photo please be explained? Is he jerking off? Dude. Me and the apocalypse for real, okay, on God. If you're going to post something like the IDF is cool, at least stick to it. Don't apologize. Yeah, like, I agree. Dude, it's just like, yeah, it just makes it seem as though, like, you're just catering towards the backlash, right? Like, fuck. It just seems kind of weird to me.
They ruled that Israel is committing a plausible case of genocide. That was over a year and a half ago, and Israel has only escalated its mass killing, starvation, and destruction. There's lots of ways that this is facilitated, you know, violent mass slaughter, deliberate civilian targeting. Israel's killed tens, probably hundreds of thousands of Palestinian people, including tens.
This is why I can't be bothered. This is why I can't be bothered. How do you put it? Being like one of the good guys on YouTube, okay? Because when you're one of the good guys on YouTube, or you're trying to present as a good guy, you have an image to keep up. All right, it's just too much work. Just be a heel. Just be a YouTube heel instead of a YouTube head, okay? I would like to apologize for my recent story reshare about the female Israeli pilot being a hero. It came off as glorifying violence, which wasn't at all my intention, but I understand that's how it came off. I want to highlight the difference between women's lack of rights in Iran under the Ayatollah and women in Israel being given agency to even fight in combat. That being said, it's not the best timing or situation to make such a point. War is terrible and should never be glorified, and I'm very sorry for the post. Dude, I actually hate how the H3 Productions fan base is like blasting Gila Klein over this. Really fucking stupid, dude. Honestly, like look at that. Like even the top post, look, says here. I'm glad she posted this and she took into account the criticism. Like, I'm sorry, okay? You're just giving people like Hassan fuel. You might as well just like double down. One of the reasons I follow them, they can admit when they are wrong. I mean, this is gonna look good for their fan base, okay? Like, obviously. But at the same time, it's like, fuck. Anyway, dude. All right.
of thousands of children. It consists of the use of starvation as a weapon of war. Gaza is a concentration camp with Israel controlling everything that comes in and out, and they are currently using that control to completely block any humanitarian aid from entering the strip. Starvation and disease are widespread. Children, babies, starving to death. They're also not letting medical supplies, things like medication and anesthesia, so thousands of children are undergoing amputations with no anesthetic. Now, one of the primary tools of this genocidal arsenal is Israel's Air Force. The aerial bombings are what have made Gaza look like this. All of the schools, hospitals, mosques, water treatment plants, everything meant.
By the way, I'm pretty sure Hassan's Orbit still have not corrected the misinformation in reference to the Al-Shifa hospital, okay? Yeah. Wait, wasn't the Al-Shifa, was it the Al-Aqsa hospital or was it the Al-Shifa hospital? I'm pretty sure the Al-Aqsa hospital or some shit. Where they said like it was 500 people got killed when it got bombed or something.
To provide the basic necessities for life in Gaza, including housing itself. Over 90% of the residential buildings have been completely destroyed. That's the Air Force. That's Gila's heroes. Now, admittedly, the pilot in this image wasn't killing civilians in Gaza, at least not on this particular mission. She was killing or participating in the killing of civilians in Iran. Israel recently started a war with Iran in an unprovoked act of aggression on false pretenses that Iran was.
Dude, what a slimy way to word things, right? Like, notice the way that he words this. An unprovoked act of aggression. So is it an act of aggression when Iran is like literally funding Israel's enemies that are fighting them directly in a war? Like, is it an unprovoked act of aggression when they are clearly like trying to plan like nuclear weapons or something against Israel, which is a threat to its existence? Like, is it an act of like, I'm sorry, like an unprovoked act of aggression is just like complete diabolical framing to me. Yeah.
On the verge of developing
Yikes.
nuclear weapons.
Do you have an update regarding Greta Thunberg being kidnapped by the IDF? No. I don't know. One of her fans who is Iranian was the main reason she apologized because they do have viewers in Iran. Okay.
This is a claim that's been made.
But then you have viewers everywhere. Like, unless you were talking about like some place like North Korea, like where exactly don't you have viewers? Like, fuck.
By Israel and many Western countries for decades, as we'll look.
Also, by the way, if you're Iranian, shouldn't you be hoping for like the Iranian government to come crashing down? I feel like aren't they like diabolical villains? No? Like,
Yeah, but for now, the point is that this wasn't some cool, heroic mission that this pilot was on. It was an unjustified escalation and unprovoked act of
Iranian nuclear
violence
program,
against a country of 90 million people. Gila got some backlash for this post, understandably, praising the warmongering genocide army will do that. So she made a follow-up story doing what she claims is apologizing for what she said. She wrote, "I would like to apologize for my recent story reshare about the female Israeli pilot being a hero. It came off as glorifying violence, which wasn't my intention.
You
I
should
understand
anyway.
that's how it came off. I wanted to highlight the difference between women's lack of rights under the Ayatollah and women in Israel being given agency to even fight in combat. That being said, it's not the best timing or situation to make such a point. War is terrible and should never be glorified, and I'm very sorry for the post." You know, despite
that's such a weird thing to say too, because shouldn't you be glorifying war from the standpoint of like self-defense? Okay, I'm not talking about the specific situation in IVP, right? But I'm talking about like Ukraine, right? If you are if you are shouldn't you be glorifying the war against Russia if you're Ukrainian? Shouldn't you be? I think you should, right? Of course. This is like glorifying war. Sounds like you're kind of glorifying the inherent aspect of war, you know? Which I don't think anyone does. No one does that, okay? But people will glorify like aspects of the war or reasons behind the war because they feel like it's justified, right? So I don't like this like dead framing of like, oh yeah, all war being glorified is bad or something, right? So yeah.
Despite Gila's use of the word, this isn't an apology, it's a justification. Even though I didn't mention it at all or even allude to it, this post was actually about feminism. It was about women's rights in Iran and how I care about them, which is
I don't think it's about feminism. If so, then you know she obviously conveyed it pretty poorly. Okay, but regardless, you know, obviously, fuck Noah Samsen. All right.
why I support them being bombed, apparently. If that is what she meant by her post and just completely failed to communicate it, it's not like that's any better, right? That's just girl boss imperialism. When Israeli women participate
Well, hello. Well, hold on. Okay, girl boss imperialism is my favorite kind of imperialism. Okay, fuck.
in Israel's violent lunacy all across the Middle East, bombing Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, and now Iraq.
I think it's more being in war is bad. Yeah, like no one will ever cheer for civilians being killed. No one will ever cheer for that. Okay, like period. I don't even think people cheer for like. There's probably a lot who do, but like no one cheers for the Dresden bombings. No one ever does that. Like what the fuck?
Iran, they're
Like the one that killed like 20,000 soldiers and civilians, right? Nazi soldiers and Nazi civilians.
actually doing feminism. This image comes to mind. I'm sure
Like
you've
people don't
seen
even
it.
cheer
It's
that.
pretty much exactly like this image. This is Parnia Abbasi. She was a 23-year-old artist from Tehran. Israel killed her in these attacks.
Oh, by the way, just FYI, the Iranian government would 100% suppress people like this, okay? 100%. All right. I just want to say this. Like the thing is that yeah, you can present like a very pretty woman, all right, who has been killed by bombings or something like that as an act of propaganda, but the reality of the situation is that there is a timeline. There is a timeline in which Iran was not bombed, Israel was nuked, and Iran would continue to like suppress women like this. So honestly, like this is after this is post ad hoc. Okay, this is post ad hoc rationalization. Okay, like it is like what is it called? It's some kind of bias, isn't it? Some kind of bias. No, Belle, I know. Okay, stop. If you spam anymore, I will time you out. Jeez. Okay, chill. Yeah.
Possibly the
I told
very
you.
attack that this girl pilot participated in. Is that feminism? Was the idea of liberating this young woman from the clutches of the Ayatollah? No, of course not. That's insane. But according to Hila Klein, they kind of were. You know, there's nothing in her apology that indicates otherwise. Vague condemnations of violence and war while praising the aggressors is not an apology, it's lip service. Hila's use of the word agency is interesting here too.
Did you see the high school women in Iran happy? Yes, but like we don't know, we don't really know the background of that clip, right? Like we can't confirm that that actually happened recently or something, right? So yeah, I hesitate to say anything there just mainly because I don't know what's the context behind that clip or the story behind it.
Too, I think, for a few reasons. If this is what agency is, you know, the right to participate in unprovoked acts of aggression and also genocide, then yes, that agency should be revoked, not just from the women, but from everyone, because genocide and unprovoked military aggressions that kill civilians tend to infringe upon the agency of others by killing them, you know, and their families and destroying their lives. So if Iranian women do not have the agency to do that, then that is a good thing, because no one should. Calling it agency is also interesting when we consider that, you know, Hila served in the IDF.
Bro. She looks cool as fuck. Are you kidding me? Okay, whatever, man. Okay, listen. She looks cool as fuck. I'm just being totally honest. Also, she is browner than Noah Samsen, okay? She's browner than all the other fucking, like, Hassan orbiters, alright? 100%. Like, this is why people, see, feel like it's weird when you refer to Israelis as, like, the whitest people on Earth or something, right? They're brown! Look at these people! They're brown! Okay, like, fuck.
The IDF, according to her own
They're brown.
husband, is a terrorist organization.
So you think the IDF is a terror organization?
I said yes.
And so naturally, there has to be some excuse for her time in this service. And the excuse they use that is often repeated is that Israel has mandatory conscription.
Hila was doing mandatory military service. What should she have done?
Hila had no other choice.
Let's be honest, they're hot and Noah's just jealous. Dude, listen, I don't blame Noah, okay? He's just prepping his ass for the next Hassan railing, okay? He's readying his gaping hole, all right, for Hassan's seed. All right.
It was the law. She was just following orders. She had no agency, let's say. Now, this isn't exactly true, right? Because you can dodge service in the IDF with things like conscientious objection or medical exemption. The latter is what Ethan did or tried to do, apparently. And
you know what's the ultimate flaw behind these people is that ultimately people like Noah Samsen are just so boring. Like, what is more boring than presenting the conflict in a black or white kind of thing, right? It like how boring is it to present Game of Thrones conflicts in like a really boring like black or white picture, right? Like how boring is it to present Israel and Palestine or Eastern European conflicts, Slavic states and shit like that in a really like black or white or whatever, right? Like or any like Serbian cheering on, oh yeah, Serbia will always be the good guys or whatever, right? Like how boring is it? Like seriously, it's boring. Why? Stop doing this, okay? You are making history boring, okay? It's not even true, all right? A lot of things are mired in gray, and it's beautiful to acknowledge that humanity is mired in gray, isn't it? Full of black and white. Anyway.
The former, well, nobody in Israel really does that aside from like 10
Or
people,
mixtures
because
of black
most
and
of them
white.
support the genocide, but you can do it, right? Now, Gila didn't, but even still, she did have some agency in the IDF. According to her, when she got bored of her desk job, she requested a transfer and ended up participating in at least
Oh god, just look at that cheesy ass mustache. Look at this. If he removes the left and right side of his mustache, then listen, then it really represents him even more, okay? He just look how his mustache is intersection off. It's not even like growing in properly. Like look at that shit.
one
Like look at his mustache. It doesn't even look right. Like what the fuck? Just remove the left and right parts and, you know, it'll accurately represent your character. Okay,
IDF
shit.
raid on the illegally occupied West Bank in Ramallah, which they refer to as a terrorist city.
At first, I was given a role that was like in an office somewhat close to my house in Tel Aviv. And it was super boring and I really hated it. So I tried to change my role.
I don't get it. Why do leftists always have like the most unimmaculate fashion ever, okay? And by the way, like all these lefties are like hardcore supporters of capitalism, okay? You can't tell me that this person went to an aesthetic like barbershop and then went to a hairstylist to get like a fucking like half hair, like half face fucking blonde dyed hair or some shit and thought that was good fashion or some shit, right? Like fuck me, dude. And then you have like a cheesy ass mustache. You might as well just shave it all off at this point. Go get laser hair surgery, okay? Not laser hair. Go get laser hair treatment, okay? Fuck. I have an appointment tomorrow. Anyway. How many times has Noah mentioned this story? Are all of his viewers not watching the vid? They want the same slop over and over again, which I kind of get, okay? That's fine. But the thing is, it's like... the thing is that, like, dude, it's just boring to me. Okay, that's it. All right, fuck.
I somehow ended up in a
Also, by the way, like you know what's funny is that Hassan wears like $1,000 jackets, and you know it just looks like crap. He looks like a homeless person, like wearing like fucking oversized big boy jackets. Okay, like you can literally get the same at like fucking AliExpress or like the 18th page of an Amazon Eastern Asian like streetwear like I do, for far less, for like $30. Okay, it's not hard. All right, listen, like this kind of fashion is not hard, and you can get like you can afford it for way less instead of forcing like little children to sew in your little designer clothing. Okay, like
better
fuck.
place that I liked a lot more. It was kind of like just more of an adventure, more of a different
Are you LASIKing your butt? I declined to comment.
experience that I preferred than to just go to a boring job.
You told me once you went on like a mission with them to like a terrorist city.
Yeah.
That was kind of a crazy story.
Yeah, my officers and like the soldiers in that brigade, they would go every night on a raid in Ramallah to arrest terrorists. So one time I wanted to go with them just to experience it.
Why, you just were all of a sudden had an urge to go with them?
I just wanted to see what it's like.
Right.
I wanted to see it. They took me with them one night, even though they weren't supposed to.
Did they arrest anyone that night?
They did.
Did they bring it in the same car with you?
No.
Oh,
You
different
go,
car.
there's a few cars going.
Damn, that's crazy.
The specifics of this crime have been left vague, but if it was anything like what these raids usually entail, Gila is probably a war criminal. I mean, the West Bank is illegally occupied land, and raids like this are in violation of international law inherently. So that's agency, right? But agency
I like the red eye area thing you have going. I don't know what you're talking about.
for what? Well, helping kidnap Palestinians from their homes in illegally occupied land. This is just liberal feminist language being weaponized for imperial aim.
Liberal feminist language utilized for imperial aims. Okay, wow, what a fucking word salad.
It's kind of like the argument that, you know, Israel is a bastion of progressivism and gay rights. Hamas throws gay people off of roofs. Why do leftists support them? This is just a moral
true. That's just true, but
justification,
okay.
and a very racist one at that, for liberating queer Palestinians from Hamas
What?
by killing them. There's a more subtle thing going on in these posts that I also want to talk about that relates to the broader media ecosystem. On the issue of Israel's attacks on Iran, manufacturing consent, you know we had to bring it up. Shout out, my boy. Notice the language in Gila's post. She manufacturing consent, you know we had to bring it up. Shout out, my
You know what? This is what you look like when you deny the Bosnian genocide, okay? When you deny the Bosnian genocide enough, this is what you end up looking at like in your old age, okay? Keep denying war crimes, you piece of shit.
Oh boy. Notice the language
I hope you die alone.
in Gila's post. She refers to Israel's strikes sort of vaguely as violence that's an aspect of war. This language is representative of a wider phenomenon in Western media, which is just normalizing Israel's crimes. Gila calls it violence, but it's not just violence, right? It's an unprovoked act of aggression from a genocidal state. It's not just war that's happening. Whatever Iran is doing now with its weaponry is responsive. It is in retaliation for Israel's unprovoked attacks. Israel's act of aggression was once again being framed as a defensive act of war. That's what Gila's doing in this post, and that's what a lot of people did in the Western news media, as well as most Western governments, including obviously hundreds of American politicians. One way that helps me compare this sort of media coverage is with Ground News, the sponsor of today's video. Ground News is a website that allows you to compare civilians, left-leaning consequence. I know my link for that. No one has a problem glorifying the people who fought the Nazis. The issue is when you start glorifying the Nazis, and that's what this post is doing. Israel is Nazi Germany, and the IDF are the Nazi soldiers. That's the comparison you get to make when you commit genocides on ethnic supremacist, expansionist, and colonial grounds, because that was the Nazis' whole thing, right? Despite the mountains of evidence to the contrary, Western media outlets still overwhelmingly refer to Israel's genocide as a war against Hamas. But it's not a war, and it's not against Hamas. Obviously, it is an extermination against the Palestinian people of Gaza.
What a crappy ass like extermination then. The extermination must be going extremely well when you spend over like 80 years trying to carry out, not 80 years, sorry, fuck, more than 50 years trying to carry out a very slow genocide, okay? In which their population actually grew in that time. That must be such a ridiculously effective genocide that you're performing there.
Gaza. And calling it a war, using that word, is one method of obfuscating that reality. Depending on the person doing it, it happens for different reasons, to be sure. Some people do it because that's their job. They have been and continue to be mouthpieces for the Western imperial agenda. Others do it because they have fallen victim to this sort of propaganda. It seems pretty hard to argue that that makes up a majority of people now, that people are just unaware and brainwashed given the 2 straight years of live streamed genocide that we've all seen on our phones. But I also think that we do sometimes underestimate just how little of this coverage makes it to the average Westerner, and just how strong the media apparatus.
What are you talking about? I feel like all I see on the Western Front are like Palestinian suffering, right?
Manufacturing consent
That's
for
literally all I
is.
see.
But others still do this manufacturing consent because they fundamentally believe that what Israel is doing is just. And that's what Gila thinks. You know, given her non-apology here for calling the genocidal military heroic, and her repeated examples of running cover for the IDF, saying they don't target children.
You're excusing people being burned alive and kids being murdered. You're saying
I'm guessing Noah's anticipating coming up a little short on rent this month. Maybe he should consider not renting out like a luxury condo. Maybe. That's why I'm guessing, okay.
Israel does that on the daily. Now, I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. So are you in favor?
Saying they don't target journalists.
I can't get any security assurances against Israel, obviously.
Well, bro, it's not like Israel
that is worried.
Look,
about
it's not like Israel's going to do a precision strike on Hassan. They don't fucking.
Yeah,
but it is dangerous. It's a war zone. Like I agree, it's dangerous.
Sure, it's a war zone. I don't think you guys
world.
understand
Yeah,
Israel. It doesn't work like that.
They're not. It's not. But regardless, I agree. It's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
It's dangerous in a war zone,
Right.
not because Israel will like target him.
Calling one of the primary architects of the genocide a good guy, and then issuing another similar non-apology for that. We'll get into that in a moment.
Just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about, and he fired him because they had a disagreement.
Whatever the cause of this may be, though, the effect.
Yeah, but like, who the fuck are you talking? You didn't even put into context what the fuck, who the fuck she was talking about. What a weird fucking clip to just like throw out there. Like, you didn't even show who it was she was talking. You know what? I don't even know why I'm saying this, okay? We all know these people lie all the time. All right,
is the
so
same, which is that people are being sold
I don't even know
a
why I'm giving
moral
her any kind of grace.
justification for an ongoing genocide, and many of them are buying it. Israel is the aggressor. You know, in the case of these strikes especially, Gila's language falls in line with the broader Western political and media consensus. Israel's
Oh God, just look at this guy. God, don't you think that this guy literally looks like he's been like, oh my God, just look at him. Ugh, gross. Ugh, just look at this guy, dude. Dude, I think that I'm so much more prettier than this person. God, just look at this guy. Just look at him. All right, he's disgusting. Look at his putrid mustache. Ugh, just take in his poop-colored hair. All right, on the left. What the fuck is that? Ugh, dude, he looks like a fucking toilet rim. Okay, he looks like a fucking toilet bowl rim. Is what he looks like. Okay, it's like the distinction between the toilet bowl seat and like the beginning of the rim of the toilet. That's what it looks like.
strikes are being justified as a preemptive act of self-defense against the existential threat of Iran acquiring WMDs.
Is he Hassan's second dog? Yeah, he goes like whoop 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 the moment he's at Hassan's house, okay? And then he goes to his house lubed up already, okay? It's fucking like he's already oiled up, okay? The moment he goes to Hassan's house, dude, he's just there for a good time, okay?
Weapons of mass destruction. And we've heard all of this before. This was the pretext that the US government fabricated for the invasion of Iraq, in which the US military ended up killing hundreds of thousands of people. We now, for the most part, look back on the Iraq War as a mistake, for varying reasons, of course. You know, many in the US cite the loss of, you know, American soldiers. Sometimes that's the only thing they cite, and not the hundreds of thousands of civilians, some estimates upward of 1 million. But the same attitudes and justifications that were used then are being used right now for Israel's attacks on Iran, which were undertaken, of course, with US support.
Whatever you think about Israel, Iran is bad or worse. They are the fucking evil. They are the evil fucking. They are the reason for all this bullshit. Like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, they're all attacking
When was this video posted? This video was posted 1 day ago.
under the direction of Iran. They are all being these
Funded by
jihadists,
them.
fucking Islamists, like mega, like
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I hear nothing but truth here, okay? I'm sorry. I hear nothing but truth here. This guy is spitting, okay? I'm sorry, all right? I don't know who this Ethan Klein guy is, okay? But he's clearly spitting right now, okay? I'm not gonna lie, all right? So I don't even know why you're trying to present this as if it's a bad clip, all right? Iran, okay? I'm pretty sure before the Islamic Revolution, there are some pictures, like, floating around. They're one of the most westernized, like, Middle Eastern countries where, you know, they have coffee shops, they have women, not, like, there's no mandatory, like overly overbearing, like, clothing for women, right? And it's very clear that, like, to me, it's just, like, I'm sorry, it's just, fuck. Yeah.
these ultra, you know, I don't even know how to say it, militant, super religious zealots, right? This is all coming from Iran under their direction.
Iran is evil. They are terrorist jihadists. They are Islamic-style bad guys. These people would have cheered on the Iraq War, no question, just as they've run cover for Israel during the past 2 years of genocide. And in both cases, they will act as if they didn't do that. But they did. We've also been hearing the same thing about Iran for decades, you know, both Israel and the United States.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months. They have...
Yeah, I don't even know why he's showing Netanyahu, because I'm pretty sure Gila Klein and Ethan Klein do not support Netanyahu. Like, they are anti-Netanyahu. Like, they have literally said before they think Netanyahu should be locked up as a war criminal, okay? Because at least they can criticize their own side. But meanwhile, people like Noah Samsen will refuse to criticize his own side because there is money to be made, okay?
The wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it. Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away.
Again, no reason to show Netanyahu, okay? Just want to say that for the 50,000th time, all right? They are very, very against Netanyahu, okay?
From having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs. They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the rich uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything,
nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
The non-apology in this second post reminds me of that time that Gila Klein non-apologized for referring to Yoav Gallant as a good guy, Yoav Gallant being Israel's former Minister of Defense and one of the primary architects of Israel's genocide.
Just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about, and he fired him because they had a disagreement, and that's like so Trump coded.
Well, he was like a moderating voice in the war room.
She literally compared Netanyahu to Trump. Didn't she? Like, literally in this very example that he's trying to show off, she compared... Do you think she's doing it as a compliment? Or do you think she's doing it as an insult? Like...
Yeah.
Whenever this instance gets brought up, Ethan and Gila claim that she apologized for this, but that's not true. This is what she actually said.
I feel like the reason I brought it up was mainly to express the frustration with Bibi and him firing the one guy that was somewhat, you know, attempting at moderation. It wasn't really so much to say Gallant is a good guy. I shouldn't have used that word. That was a bad choice on my...
Like, even in this case, like, she's apologizing for things. She's being reconciliatory. She's being friendly, right? Like, she's trying to make herself look like a good guy. Like, even in this case, it's just, like, completely different from the way that Noah Samsen wants to present her as. Like, he really wants to present her as this malicious, bloodthirsty sociopath. And meanwhile, literally in every clip that he shows her in, it's like this, like, reconciliatory, oh, I'm sorry I said that. I think, you know, I went too far on that one. Blah, 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 blah. Like, oh my God, get me out, dude. It's so cringe.
Considering stuff that he has said that I was not even thinking of. That was not a good choice of words, and I would not have said that again.
So I shouldn't have used that word is not an apology, it's lip service. There's no way to spin Yoav Gallant as being a moderating voice when he quite literally did the genocide. You can't paint him in any sort of contrast to Netanyahu.
All right, the genocide. Are we genocide the Muslims? Are we talking about the Bosnian genocide? Are we talking about the Uyghur genocide? Oh, no, it can't be these, okay? Because remember, America was against these two, okay? So we can't talk about these, okay? We have to talk about a genocide that was less of a genocide than the Bosnian genocide or the Uyghur genocide, but okay.
When the two of them were holding hands together as they slaughtered tens of thousands of innocent people. The articles that they cited to prove this point do not show him to be some kind of anti-war figure. They show him to be declaring their genocide a victory. It was never, we've gone too far, it was mission accomplished.
So literally in this example, it says there's nothing left in Gaza to do. The major achievements have been achieved. Channel 12 News quoted him as saying, I fear we are staying there just because there is a desire to be there. So he's literally criticizing Israel's presence in Gaza. What part of this is pro-genocide already? Are you saying just because it is defined, like you define it as a genocide, and he says that, oh, they already accomplished most of the things that they are meant to be there? Or do you think that this is more of an anti-gen... Like, even if you view what they're doing in Gaza as a genocide, why does it make any sense that they haven't even finished the genocide and he's asking to pull them out? Like, he's not even consistent with his own fucking narrative, okay? That's how much of a fucking moron Noah Samsen is. Gosh, I think the left and right parts of his mustache are like debuffing his brain cells. All right, because that's the only way I can really explain him making these like opinions.
Accomplished. And the protests around that time had nothing to do with ending the war. They had everything to do with bringing the hostages back. What happens after that, Israelis couldn't give less of a fuck about. As poll after poll has shown, they either do not care about or openly support the genocide and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. So unless such an apology comes with, I was wrong, Yoav Gallant is not a moderating voice, he literally did the genocide, then once again, it's just lip service. There's an organization called Breaking the Silence that's IDF veterans that whistleblow and provide details about their time in service. This organization has produced some pretty harrowing stuff. I mean, obviously, you know, it's the Israeli military we're talking about. I'd rather have my house destroyed than see it in the state we're leaving it in. There were children in almost all the houses we were in. We knew it for sure because you could see children's clothes. It bothered me because they drew really sexual things, nudity, and it felt messed up to me. You get the area and clear it. We finish a place and a few days later, we're in the next place. It started with the houses that overlooked the border. In the end, the neighborhood was no longer standing. We essentially created a sterile strip where once there used to be fields, groves, all kinds of things, nothing. Sterile. I got the impression that every house we passed on our way got hit by a shell, and houses farther away too. It was methodical.
Wow, so they drew naked clothing like fucking Lolly or some shit, but then you're not gonna talk about like all the Israeli women getting raped on October 7th? Wait, Israeli men and women, okay? Both. Like how could you possibly say like you care about whistleblowing? By the way, nothing wrong with whistleblowing, okay? But I'm just saying it's complete and utter hypocrisy that Noah Samsen is going like, yeah, you know what? I care about all of these harrowing things that are happening, but then refuse to acknowledge like the horrible sex crimes that happened on October 7th. But okay, dude.
There was no
Dude, listen, you're either against all sex crimes or you are not against sex crimes whatsoever. Okay, period. But okay.
threat. It's called retaining tension. That is, keep
Our word Terzar, I need Lee, PSD. Have a lovely stream. Okay, take care, okay? Alright.
keeping Hamas unsure about when exactly we will be going in, so that they are constantly thinking that we might be about to go in. It's called softening targets, and it's done also to clear a range for advancing. What this means in practice is that shells are being fired all the time. Details like this provide quite a bit of insight, into what's actually happening there. If you're someone that's been following the footage of like every hour when an apartment building is blown up and thinking to yourself, what could ever possibly be the justification for that? Well, it's because stuff like this. Bombing for the sake of
How many views does this have? 330K.
bombing, killing people for the sake of killing people. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, according to the H3 Wikipedia, Gila Klein served in the IDF around 2005 in the Duchefat Battalion. That's where she was transferred when she participated in the illegal raid. I found a testimony on Breaking the Silence from that very same battalion and in that same time frame and the same area of Ramallah. Sometimes there were detained Palestinians waiting at our post. One of the detainees was cuffed with a zip tie and blindfolded. This was at a moment that there were no commanders at the post, so one soldier decided to go inside and beat him up. Just like that. The person walked in, shut the door behind him. Yes, there was almost nobody outside. At some stage, he gave up. I don't know, he didn't beat him up for too long, but let's say that if I had said to him, why are you beating him up? What are you doing? He would have continued hitting him. It was better to just shut up and wait for him to finish, and that's it. Gila Klein has never publicly revealed any of the specific details about her time helping illegally raid and illegally kidnap a Palestinian.
What does illegally mean? Like illegal according to like what context? Because I'm wondering genuinely like what the fuck he's talking about here. Also, by the way, for every story that he says, for every sob story that he says about the IDF, there's a equal, if not way worse story about Hamas, okay? Like or about like the Iranian government or some shit. Okay, so I don't even know why the fuck he's trying to virtue signal here.
Man in the illegally occupied West Bank, but she should, because this is the sort of thing that her terrorist organization was and still are getting up to. If she truly is sorry for glorifying the IDF,
she went into the West Bank. That's what was illegal, and she was 18. It doesn't even matter. Like she was 18. What? Hello? On mandatory service?
as she claims in her post, then she should help the world by telling the truth about what she saw and did when she was a part of this, beyond the vague details she's already provided. She won't do that, of course, because she doesn't regret her time there and does believe that this genocidal army
And why would she regret her time there? She had no choice to serve. What?
is heroic and has
like, remember when Hassan literally said, yeah, I think that she should, like, face jail time instead of serving in the IDF. Dude, what the fuck? You're gonna tell, like, a youth that? Yeah, I think you should go to prison instead. Alright, tell that to all the lefties who want revolution but are too afraid to do it.
consistently denied their role in the intentional mass slaughter of Palestinians, journalists, and so on.
Also, it's funny that he would refer to something as like illegal or not, because literally all of like lefty praxis is literally trying to appeal towards, oh, you should be justified in breaking the law if you feel like it is correct, right? So like it isn't even consistent with like leftist praxis, right? From what I know of it. So it's like, again, just complete and utter like nothing burger. All right, it's just nothing.
But someday she may try to pretend that she doesn't. So feel free to refer back to this series of clips when that happens.
Also, why even live in the United States if clearly you're not happy here, right? Clearly they want to reap the benefits of being in a first world country, the top of the line, like United States, a very hardcore capitalist country. They want to reap all the rewards of a hardcore capitalist country, but want to like receive But they also want to have their cake and eat it too by saying, yeah, you know what, I want to blah blah. And by the way, I just want to say Bad Hipponato totally was correct on this. Okay, why the fuck would like Hassan want to live in the United States, right? If you are truly principled, right? Like that's a correct call out.
Hashtag Gila break the silence.
period,
Let's get
right?
that viral trending. Israel's actions against Iran have been taking up quite a bit of media coverage and turning what little attention remained on Gaza away from it and on to, the sirens in Israel. This was certainly a part of the calculus for what Israel is now doing in Gaza, in some ways the most horrific acts of depravity we've seen yet. I'm talking about the death trap massacres.
What to fear more, bullets or hunger? Under fire yet again, crowds of desperate Palestinians waiting in the hope of collecting food from the new Israeli-backed aid scheme. 20 people were killed here in southern Gaza by Israeli soldiers today, according to local officials. Others managed to grab something to take home to their families. Hundreds of people are now said to have been gunned down in repeated incidents around the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation sites in the few weeks they've been operating.
These massacres are being facilitated by
Again, Noah Samsen does not give a fuck about any of this. Okay, so again, just a reminder. Right?
by the IDF and the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is an organization
He views this conflict as a way to profit off of dead people. Okay, dead people and suffering. Okay, he doesn't actually care about improving anything. All right.
Devised by Israel and backed by the US and denounced by every long-standing humanitarian aid organization that has operated in Gaza, who are all still being completely barred from entry. This organization, with Israeli and US help, is facilitating the use of starvation as a weapon of war. They're setting up so-called aid distribution centers in strategic military positions in the south to drive large crowds of starving Palestinians into cages for bags of flour that are a tiny fraction of what is actually needed to keep Palestinians in Gaza from starving to death, and they are then opening fire on them with guns, drones, and tank shelling. The footage from these massacres is some of the craziest shit I have ever seen. They're just straight up doing a death camp live on 4K video. There's so much footage of starving Palestinian people running for their lives to escape Israeli fire after running for their lives for a tiny shred of hope that they'll be able to get some flour so they don't starve to death. Flour that Israel is barring them from getting any other way. Israel has killed countless people, including many children. 50 people were killed yesterday. Dozens are being killed every single day.
كان كويس معي كتير بده يجيب مساعدات كنا بدنا ناكل في جينا ولا حاجة لو راح لو متصاب جبناه على المستشفى استشهد هذا اليوم العالم لو خالي قال له يلا يا خال.
Nah, dude. Again, he doesn't give a fuck about these kids, okay? Period. If he did give a fuck about these kids, then he and the rest of his orbit wouldn't have like slammed that one Palestinian activist, all right, that appeared on H3 stream, okay? If he actually cared about kids, all right? The one guy who was trying to get people to donate to his organization that was benefiting kids like this, okay? So, yeah, just a reminder. He doesn't give a fuck.
The pretext for these massacres is, you guessed it, it's Hamas, a claim which you probably also guessed is meritless. Netanyahu recently just admitted to backing the ISIS-linked criminal gangs in Gaza that have repeatedly looted aid operations under the protection of the IDF. This has been reported for well over a year now, but Netanyahu just straight up admitted to it a few weeks ago. This didn't stop Ethan Klein from quoting the organization that's facilitating these massacres to, attack a streamer that he doesn't like. Yes, he actually shared this post. It's direct propaganda from the genocidal state, and it's death trap massacre committing orchestration. Stalwart ally to the Palestinian cause, by the way. Israel's backing of these groups has been dubbed Operation Total Madness, as what we are seeing now is the final stage of Israel's final solution to the Gaza problem.
Spooky.
Drive everyone out of Gaza and kill anyone that's left. So the reason people are making memes and jokes about World War III and not talking about this, one of the greatest crimes of our age that's being broadcast on social media every single day, is because that's exactly what Israel and the United States want us to be doing. So stop. Okay, so anyways, that's it for...
It's so funny that he thinks that he has any kind of influence over other people in terms of like trying to get people to talk about Palestinians, even more so instead of driving them away. Because I guarantee you, he is driving people away more than anything else from pro. Like, if anything, I feel like the so-called pro-Palestinian cause. I'm sorry, but they have driven more people away because they're so fucking annoying, okay? Just stop being so annoying, alright? And maybe you could attract more people, but you're just very annoying people, alright?
For the video today, just a short one. Real quick, a question some of you might have right now is, why are we so
Like this reminds me of like the Stop Oil activists, or like any kind of like environmental terrorist like group or something like that. You just like they just can't get anyone to get on board with them.
still talking about these people? Can we be done? And I get it, and I partially agree, but also, I didn't realize it. This podcast is like a very highly ranked in terms of viewership podcast. I think at one point it was a top 100 podcast. So when they spread propaganda like this, just openly glorifying a genocidal nation during its genocidal assault on Palestinian people in Gaza, that makes them one of the largest mouthpieces for this genocide propaganda, like on the internet and on Instagram too, where this post came from, where they do much of this sort of propaganda and also just general run-of-the-mill Zionist whining. Ethan and Gila have a collective millions of followers, hundreds of times my own reach on there. So I think that alone is a
Good. Okay, you're annoying and no one likes you. All right, Jesus.
good enough reason to keep covering what they say, especially when it's this blatant. Like, come on, you're gonna try and say you're a Palestinian advocate while glorifying the IDF. Like, they just can't help themselves. It's crazy. But I do think it's best to do that in context of the broader issues. So when they post glorifying the IDF, we simply use that to get the news out about what the IDF is doing currently in Iran and in Gaza. When they deny Israeli apartheid, we simply use that to talk about Israeli apartheid. When they deny Israel's killing of journalists, we can talk about that. Or when they call Yoav Gallant a good guy.
Wait, I'm sorry. When have they denied the killing of journalists? Have you shown that? Or anything like that? Can you prove on your end that they have killed journalists, in fact, but with the explicit purpose of targeting journalists? Or are they like the inconvenient targets that got in the way of like these bombings because they're trying to report on like a risky area? Like, what are we talking about here?
We use that to talk about Yoav Gallant and how defending a genocidal war criminal doesn't just get canceled out by saying that you're not doing that. So keep posting about him. Make a video about this post. Add your own commentary about what you think is important politically about what's happening right now. You'll get views. Call it grifting all you want. More views means more people learn about the genocide and are then equipped with the information and arguments to teach other people about it. So yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Join my Patreon if you want to support the show.
Cool. Awesome. It's just another trash video, trash person. Okay, complete joke. Very cool. All right, thank you, Mr. Noah. All right, thank you, Mr. Samsen. All right, Your Honor, back to you.